students, welcome back to another history class of class 9. Today we'll be looking at the lesson Changing Life Part 2. As we know, in the previous lesson Changing Life Part 1, we have already seen the various changes that took place in the post-independent era, and we studied a few aspects of that in the previous lesson. In this lesson also, we will be continuing to study how society and how our lives have changed in the post-independence era. So let's get on with the lesson. In this chapter, we shall look at the changes that have taken place in our society in the fields of language, sports, theatre, films, newspapers, and television. Let us study the first aspect today, that is languages. As we know, there are many official languages in India. Hindi, Assamese, Bengali, Gujarati, Kannada, Kashmiri, Malayalam, Marathi, Odia, Punjabi, Sanskrit, Tamil, Telugu, Urdu, Konkani, Manipuri, Nepali, and Sindhi are the official languages in India. These Indian languages also have dialects which are on the verge of decline. What is a dialect? Well, a dialect is a form of the language that is spoken in a particular part of the country or by a particular group of people. Now, what is the reason that these dialects are on the verge of decline? With modernization, the importance of English and Hindi have increased, which is why we find that many people have started speaking the languages of Hindi and English, and thereby the dialects of many of the languages are on the verge of extinction. These Indian languages, timely steps should be taken to nurture these Indian languages. Otherwise, we will lose an important part of our heritage. So let us know, with such a variety in the languages, which language serves as a uniting factor in the country. Well, Hindi, which has reached everywhere in the country through the medium of the Hindi movies, has served to unite the country by language. Not far behind, the English language has been gaining ground in India due to the process of globalization which began after the year 1990. And hence, English has soon become the language of livelihood. That is, as it opens the doors to multiple job opportunities. Moreover, Indians are at the forefront in learning this language. However, it is necessary to ensure that this does not endanger the very existence of our regional languages or its dialects. Let us know some interesting facts about languages in this section called as Do You Know? Now, given below is a list of the languages of Nagaland in 1961 and the numbers of the people using them. As you can see, Angami, which is having 33,766 people speaking the language. Lotha had 26,565 people speaking the language, and so on and so forth. We had the last language, Makuri, which was spoken by 769 number of people. Now, the consequence of this variety was that the Kohima radio station had to make its broadcasts in 25 languages, which included English, Hindi, Naga dialects, and the 16 Naga languages. It must have been a tough job for the radio station jockey, I'm sure of it. Let us now look at the next field which has changed our life, that is sports. Now, only a few selected games were known to the people in general in the pre-independence period. However, this situation soon changed as some sports persons changed the situation and enhanced the status of the sports and the sports persons. About a few such people who changed the face of sports in general for the public. The first among them is Geet Sethi. Geet Sethi achieved global excellence in the game of snooker, which is a variation of billiards. He won the national championship of billiards for teenagers at the age of 15. Later, he went on to win national and international championships. At the global level, he won the amateur billiards competition thrice and the professional one 5 times. His success made the game popular and newspapers began to report news about billiards. Thus, he made a new field available to rising sportspersons in India. Let us look at the contribution of other two great sports personalities, that is Kapil Dev and Sunil Gavaskar. It was in 1983 that the Indian team won the World Cup for cricket under the captainship of Kapil Dev. It was a historic victory. Cricket instantly won great popularity across the country. In the same year, Sunil Gavaskar broke the earlier record of maximum centuries in Test cricket. In 1985, India won the Benson and Hedges World Championship of Cricket. As a result, cricket came to be played in all states to a lesser or a greater extent, but sadly at the cost of indigenous Indian games. That is, the popularity of the local games or the indigenous Indian games decreased as the popularity of cricket increased. A few movies were also produced around the theme of cricket. Live telecast of the full 5 days or one day of the matches also became available. Let us now study about another great sports personality of India, that is Karnam Maleshwari. India had been participating in Asiad and Olympic Games. At the Olympic Games of the year 2000, Karnam Maleshwari won a medal for weightlifting. She was the first Indian woman to win a medal at the Olympics. With this, India's representation began to rise in various Olympic games such as hockey, badminton, tennis, swimming, weightlifting, and archery. Theatre and films are important aspects of Indian life. Early, plays were very long, sometimes running through an entire night. Now, the form, technique, duration of plays has changed. People from different walks of life take part in the dramas, but musicals have now declined in importance. Today, political and social subjects have replaced the earlier mythological and historical themes in the dramas. Even the films have underwent a lot of changes. The age of black and white movies has been succeeded by the age of colored movies. In the field of entertainment, the place of Hindi movies is incomparable. Now, movies reflect contemporary themes. The film shooting locales have moved abroad. So, viewers can now see many different places in foreign countries. Movies in foreign languages are now translated. During the screening of English movies, a short Hindi translation now appears on the screen as subtitles. Hindi movies now compete with a global audience as they have reached every nook and corner of the world. We see a reflection of politics, social events, industry, and technology in the movies. Movies which were 3 to 4 hours long are now of only 1 or 1.5 hours. Moreover, the concept of one screen and one cinema hall has given way to multiplexes. The days of a movie running for 100 weeks in one cinema hall are over. Now, one movie runs in thousands of movie cinema halls in India and abroad simultaneously. This development has changed the economy of movies. Production of movies has attained the status of industry. The industry now employs crores of people. Thus, the movie industry in regional languages is also thriving at the same rate. The changing lifestyle has had its effects on newspapers and other mass media, and they in turn have influenced individuals as well as community life. During the early post independence period, newspapers had multiple objectives. In this period, the newspapers were expected to not only give the news of daily events but also to give an impetus to industry and commerce by printing advertisements. Newspapers functioned with the following objectives also, that is, shaping public opinion, directing it towards constructive work, at times leading the public opinion also, carrying on the task of public education, and keeping a watch over the government machinery. Also, earlier, the newspapers were black and white. With the changing times, color printing has become common. Earlier, the newspapers were thought to be the mouthpieces of a taluka or district. Today, they have to face tough competition from the state level newspaper chains as well. But on the whole, the newspapers are now becoming more active and their scope has enlarged. It now includes raising funds for drought affected and flood affected people, helping meritorious students from lower income groups to go for higher education, and organizing or sponsoring cultural programs. This is how newspapers have now become an inseparable part of our lives. Another important object that has brought about a lot of changes in our lifestyle and has itself underwent a lot of changes is the television. Well, the television came to India during the post independence period. Earlier, it was black and white. Now, it is colored. Earlier, it was limited to some selected programs and fixed time slots. Gradually, its scope was enlarged to include educational programs, news bulletins, detailed reporting of the tours of the President and the Prime Minister. During the telecast of Ramayana and Mahabharata, a majority of people used to sit glued to the television set. These serials proved the popularity of this medium. Then, in 1991, CNN channel showed to the entire world a live visual reporting of the Iraq War. At this stage, the world of Indian news channels changed completely. In 1998, STAR, that is Satellite Television Asia region, a private media house, entered India, and the uninteresting, monotonous, and propagandist news telecasts of the early period underwent a sea change. The language, the technique of presentation, studios equipped with the latest technology, and the use of OB or the outdoor broadcasting vans have expanded the scope of Indian television channels still further and brought in transparency and variety. Now, every nook and corner of the country is connected. This has had a great impact on politics as well. In fact, the whole country started changing. So far, we have studied the history of modern India in this year. And we have also seen how history is no longer a study of only the past, but it is also a study or a part of our daily life and not just a thing of the past. So with this, we come to an end of this lesson. We will now be looking at a few questions and answers. Let us look at the questions of the lesson. Give reasons for the following statements. Cricket began to be played all over India to a greater or smaller extent. For this question, children, we will have to come to the part on page 53, wherein they are talking about the popularity of the game, the way it increased after India won the World Cup in 1983. So you have to write from there and how it overtook the popularity of the game of cricket overtook the popularity of the indigenous Indian games as well, and all over the country, whether at a lesser extent or a greater extent, the whole country followed this game. So you have to talk about that. Moving on to the next question, the economy of movies is changing. Now, for this question, children, we have to talk about how earlier, what changes have happened from the earlier movies and today, what changes we see. Also, not only the changes that we see not only in the themes and the content of it, but also at the different styles and designs that have changed. Okay, so the content that earlier what they were reflecting and today what the common themes are in the movies, also earlier how long the movies were and today what is the length of the movie, how movies in earlier days used to run in one cinema halls and all, and how today simultaneously it has got a worldwide release of movies and all. So in this manner, right from the production of the movie to the development of the concept and all that, so you have to talk about all the things, how the economy, that is how the financial aspect of the movies is changing. Moving on to the next question, answer the following questions in 25 to 30 words. For this, the question first, why is it necessary to keep alive the dialects of Indian languages? For this, we can explain by saying that dialects are a part of the language, and languages are a very important part of our Indian heritage, Indian cultural heritage. And how, with the disappearing dialects of the languages, the traditions, the oral traditions, the cultural traditions are also disappearing. So that is why it is necessary to keep alive the dialects of the Indian languages. Next, elaborate upon the changing form of newspapers. Here again, you can come to the paragraph, come to page 53 of your textbooks, where on the paragraph of newspapers, where they are talking about the differences that have changed in the newspapers in the earlier times and today's newspapers. So when you mention the differences that have taken place, what roles they are playing, the newspapers earlier, what roles they were playing, and today what they are playing. So in this manner, we can write about the changes that have taken place in the form of newspapers. Next question, which changes have taken place in the medium of television? For this question again, children, come to page 54 of your textbooks, where they have spoken about how televisions, how what sort of changes happened, how earlier the televisions were black and white and they were available for only some selected programs were available and only for fixed time slots, and how today we have got a variety of channels and educational programs and all of it. So you have to show that changes that have taken place in this medium of television. With this, we come to an end of this video, children. I hope you have understood all that we have studied in this entire year through the medium of these videos. Once again, thank you, students, for going through the video, and I hope this journey has been a happy one for you and an educational one for you. So till we meet again, happy learning.